Zoo Miami, giving CBS4 unprecedented access behind the scenes, offering us an unfiltered look at the life and death decisions that zookeepers and veterinarians are forced to make every day.
Tonight, we bring you the emotional story of one of those well-known animals. We do warn you, some of these images may be difficult to watch. Here's CBS4 investigator Jim DeFede.
That's a good girl. How you feeling today?
Serafina is a 16-year-old camel suffering from severe arthritis who has trouble walking. Even more telling for zookeeper Carrie Stanton.
It's all right. Come on, Sarah.
Serafina hardly ever gets down on the ground, a sign she's afraid she won't be able to stand back up.
You just kind of take into consideration what's best for her, but I don't expect her to recover.
Our interest in the zoo was sparked by the high-profile deaths in the last 2 years of JJ the silverback gorilla, Asha the lioness, and Maud, an Asian elephant.
The reality is most animals have a shorter lifespan than we as humans do. So part of working in a zoo for any long-term commitment is you're going to feel a roller coaster of emotions.
Ron McGill, the zoo's communications director, invited us to see for ourselves the natural cycle of births and deaths.
This is the plan.
This drew us to those responsible for the animal.
14 M020 is who we need first.
The zookeepers and the veterinary staff that treat and care for the zoo's 3,000 animals.
7:06 today.
Both big and small.
Okay. One more, good girl.
Their day is a non-stop parade
Sound good?
of house calls and checkups.
99.4.
Whether it's operating on a lion
Oh, I know. Good girl.
or deworming baby leopards. Since June 2012, federal investigators have found only 2 instances when the zoo's failures led to the unnecessary death of an animal: an Arabian aurochs who was misdiagnosed with parasites, and a camel whose head was caught in a neglected chain-link fence and died from his injuries.
It was a tremendous mistake, but I can promise you this, it will never happen again.
No responsibility falls harder on the staff than the decision to euthanize an animal. And for Dr. Chris Miller, Serafina is a tough case. She treated Sarah as a baby.
She could be alive for a very long time and yet be crippled. And we talk about what we can do and whether or not her quality of life is still what we think is acceptable.
After weeks of debate and discussions, the zoo staff has decided Sarah's time has come. Miller darts her with a tranquilizer.
Come on, Sarah.
Carrie Stanton and her fellow keepers can now only stand back and watch as Sarah's survival instincts cause her to struggle to remain standing. Finally, after being darted, she falls. The keepers gather around now as Miller gives them a moment to pause and reflect before administering the final shot.
Personally, I do believe that animals have souls, and I feel like they need to have a little bit of time to, whether it's leave their body or whatever. I feel like it's more dignified for the animals.
Serafina's end also marks the end of Miller's career at the zoo. After 24 years, she would retire after spending her last day on the job conducting the autopsy of Serafina. Despite the sad end, she has no regrets.
I think it's an experience that I'll never forget, obviously, and I'm glad that I've done.
That was Jim DeFede reporting, and again, a big thank you to the people at Zoo Miami for inviting us in.
Jim spent 4 months at the zoo, and this is just one snapshot. In the weeks ahead, he will bring you more of this from his exclusive behind-the-scenes look at what goes into caring for and treating these animals.
Clearly, they love those animals.
Yes.
Glad they take such good care of them. Craig Setzer is here.